Hi everyone, welcome back to Codecraft Academy channel. If you are coming for the first time, please do hit subscribe and bell icon for more technical tips and tutorials. So far we only have one slice of state, that is post slice. The logic is defined in postslice.js file and the data is stored in state.posts, and all of our components have been related to the post feature. Now let's add the ability to keep track of the list of users in our app and update the post related functionality to make use of the data. Since the concept of users is different from the concept of posts, we want to keep the code and data for the users separated from the code and data of posts. So for that, let's add a users folder and create a usersSlice. Okay, go here and create users folder. Inside users folder, let's add a file to create usersSlice. And after creating the usersSlice, we simply add some initial entries so that we have a data to work with. Okay, for that, in order to create a slice, we should import create slice function. So let's import it first. Create slice from Redux Toolkit. Redux.js toolkit. Okay, now let's create this initial state. It's an array of objects. Okay, for that, first ID 1 and username is John. In the similar way, create couple more objects or user data. Let me format it. Okay, so let me add couple more. ID 2 David, ID 3 Alex. Okay, now we are done with the initial state. Let's create this slice. Const usersSlice equal to create slice, for which we should pass name, that is users, initial state, and then reduces. For now we can keep sorry, for now we don't need actually to update the data, so we will leave the reduces field as an empty object, this reduces field as an empty object, since we don't want to update the data. We will come back to this section in later part of the video or in coming parts. As before, we will import this user reducer into our store file and add it to the store setup. Since, as I said, right, whenever we create a slice and then define reducers, we should add the reducers to the store, Redux store. Then only the React components can access the data of that user, slice, or that what I can say, properties. Okay, now let's go to the store file and then import the usersSlice and then add it to the store. Okay, first import the, before that we should export that usersSlice reducer. For that, what we have to do is export default usersSlice dot reducer. Okay, now let's import it into the store file. Or simply go here and then add. It will automatically import user reducer. Okay, user reducer from usersSlice and then use it here. So we are done with importing user reducer into store file and then add it to the reducer object here. Okay, now since every post in our app was written by one of our users, and every time we add a new post, we should keep track of which user wrote that post. So if you see here, as of now we are displaying only post title and then content. We haven't displaying the user here. So now we are going to add that ability to show the user for each and every post. In real app, we would have some sort of state.current user field that keeps track of the current logged in user and then use that information whenever they add a post. But to keep things simpler, for this example, we will update our add post form component, that is add post form component. If you see here, we have a add new post component, so that we can select a user from drop down. If you see here, we right now only have post title and then content. We are going to add a drop down to give user to select user from the drop down list, and we will include that user ID as part of the post. Once our post subjects have a user ID in them, we can use that to look up the user's name and show it in each individual post in the UI. Okay, first we need to update our post added creator. If you go to the here, if you see here, post added action creator. See, for now it's accepting, we are sending only ID, title and then content. See, now add to pass user ID as an argument and include that in the action. Okay, for that let me add user ID. So now I have included that in the action creator, that is post added action creator. In the similar way, we should even add this user information in the post updated action creator as well. Why? Because in the edit form we are doing that. In the edit form we are actually updating the user post information and then updating the Redux store. So we should add even the user information there as well. But for now, let's see with the add new post form, and then we'll add it, this information later to the edit post form. Okay. Now, once we add this, the next thing what we have to do is we should go to the top and then access all user information. So that how we can do that is simply what we can do here is we can use selector. We can use use selector and then get the list of users. But before that, we should update our initial entries in the post slice. If you see initial state entries where we are having only ID, title, content, but we don't have a user here. So let's update this with user with ID. That is, see, we already added data, initial data to this, right? So we can select any of them for time being. That is 1, 2, 3 among them. I can select anything. So let me add it here, user 1, and then this was written by user 2. Let's assume user 3. So now I updated this data as well here. Now, if you go to the add new post form, so we access the user's information and then show them as a drop down in the add new post form. So user can select and then save a post. So for that, what I have to do is first select the users. For that, const users equal to use selector. So for which we should pass state as an argument, which is the entire Redux store as one argument, and then state dot users. So with this we get list of users available in the usersSlice. Here whatever the users we added as part of initial state, all users available into this users variable. So now next thing is we got access to the users. What we want to do is we want to display them as a drop down. We want to display them as a drop down in add new post form. So for that, what I will be doing is const. I'm going to create user options first based on the users available. User options equal to users dot map through users dot map. For each user I am going to create one option. Okay, for each user I am going to create one option. For that, make use of option tag where key will be user ID, user.id, and then value also user.id, and the option value will be user.name. This is the value which is going to display in drop down section. This. Okay, now we are done with user options. Now what we want to do is we should show them under select, that is in the drop down. So for that, what we want to do is go and add one more tag, that is select tag under title section. Okay, under title section. For that, let me go to the, here we have a post title. After post title, let me add that section, select section, to select the users. Okay, for that let me add a div tag. Inside div tag I'm going to have a label, that is label for post author, label for post author, and then label is author, and then label is author. So for this I'm going to add a select element, select tag. So name will be post author, then ID will be post author. So and value will be user ID, which we will fetch when we pass the author information. Okay, next thing is, so this is about, so inside select what we want to do is we want to display options, that is user options. Okay, here we are going to display user options. Before that, what we want to do is let me display the first value will be like empty option, that is it's an empty value. So value equal to empty. Okay, now we are done with the select, and then let's refresh and then see how our okay, user ID is not defined. Okay, for that let me take a state variable const user ID set user ID use state. So initially it will be empty. Okay, initially the user ID will be empty. So let me add why users is not defined, const users usersSlice, what we gave there, initial state. Okay, yep, yeah, see now we are able to see the dropdown, but it's not formatted, or it's not looking beautiful. So let me add some style to that. Okay, go here. What I can do here is I can simply add some margins and then padding so that it looks good. Where it is, okay, here let me add some margin bottom. So as I said in previous videos as well, I'm using Tailwind CSS for styling. Okay, here inside label as well, let me add some styling. Display block text small, and then font medium, text gray 700. Okay, this is for label. Yeah, we are now seeing good. Next, let me add in the similar way for select. So for select, class name, margin top 1, display block, width full, having some border color, border gray 300, let me rounded MD, shadow SM, and then okay, focus, let me add some focus, ring. When we focus, the color will change to ring indigo 500, to border as well, focus border, focus border indigo 500, and then on small devices, let me change the text size to small. Okay, this is for select. Why it's not showing? Oh, sorry, I did mistake here. It's not for option, it's for select. Yeah, now if you see here, it's bit clean now. Now what we want to do is, so now we are done with the beautification part. Now see, when we try to save, let's see, let add, for the third post, let's say third post, author select any. Okay, see, if you see here, we are not able to select, and then we are able to select, but it's not displaying the value. It's why, because I think we haven't added when the user change what we want to trigger, that is on change, on author change. What we want to do is we want to hold that value and save it to the user ID state variable. Okay, where it is, author, here inside select, right, where it is, yeah, here we should add event handler, that is on change. On change we gonna add one function, that is on author changed. Okay, on author changed, on author changed, we call this function. Let me add that, let me define it. So const on author changed, sorry. So when the user selects any author, what we want to do is we should save that inside user ID. For that we already have a state variable set user ID. Use this function to update the user ID value, that is e dot target dot value. Let's see now. Okay, now let's select John, yeah, third post content. Now if you see here, when we click on save post, now our user, that Redux store should update with this user as well. Let me save it. Okay, it got updated, but it's not showing here, as well as it's not getting clear here. Okay, for that I think we should update this thing, set user ID to empty once we trigger the post added action from here, once we dispatch. So why it's not updating the, when we add a new post, we are dispatching post added, go to PostSlice, insert, we are simply pushing, right? Why it's not showing inside posts? Yep, I got it. So we have to update even the post list section as well. Okay, when we add a user, we should update the respective section inside a post list as well. Here we are actually getting the user post data from the Redux store and then displaying, right? So now what we have to do is we should add one section here after, let's simply copy this and then save this, and then let's see, post user, let me save it. If you see here, now we are seeing the ID, but not a name, but we want to display the name. So for that, what I'm going to do is, since we're going to use this user information across many components, I'll be creating a separate component to display the author information. For that, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to pass user ID as a property, and then based on that user ID, I'm going to fetch user from the user's state, that is user's data from the usersSlice, and then display the username. For that, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create a component inside post folder, post author.jsx. So here, for which we will be passing user ID as a property. Okay, inside here we will be passing user ID as a property. So once it gets the user ID, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the user information using use selector, which you can use to get the users data from the initial state from usersSlice users, and then use find method to find the user matching with the user ID which we receive as a property for this post author component. Okay, for which user dot id equals to user id. So once we receive the user based on the user ID, then what we have to do is we simply display it on the UI. For that, let me add a component, span component, where I am going to display the author, that is user, based on if user is available, then user dot name. Else, if user is not available, we simply return unknown author. Unknown author. Okay, now let me use this component inside post list component to display the author information. Okay, for that what we are going to do is we simply go to post list component, here where we added our user thing here. So if you see here, just replace this with not only this, from here post author we exported, right? Post author we exported, post author, wait, not small, it's cap. Post author, for which we should pass user ID, that is here. See, if you see here, for each post we added the user ID information as a property of user. See, if you see here, this is the property which we should read from the post data to pass the user ID. Okay, for that I simply use post dot user. So this will pass the user ID to post author component. Okay, what is error? Post author.jsx, sorry, post author, yeah. Okay, now see, if you see here, already included file name. Okay, it's okay, it's not an issue. So now we are able to see the username for each post. If you see here, see this. Now this is for the main post feed page, but let's say when we click on view post, we are not getting the username here who wrote this. So we should make changes, or we should pass, or we should use this post author component in the single post page form as well. If you go here after title, simply, or after content, whatever, it's up to us. Let me add after content only here also. After content, where it is here, right? So let me add this after content. Come here, where is the content? This is title, yeah. Let me add after content, and then here also in the single post page as well, let me add after content. Now Okay, let me import this component in here. See here now, let me add some padding here, or margin bottom for this post, margin top 4. Yep. See now here in the single post page form as well, we are getting the user ID of the post. Now let's see username. Now let me try clicking on edit, but see here we are not getting the drop down list to select the user if you want to update. So for that what we can do is let me drag this a little bit. Yeah, what I can do is I can simply go to the edit form post, edit post form, and then I can copy the code which I have written in the add new post form, where I'm getting, what I'm doing is I'm using this, where it is, add, let me close usersSlice. Yeah, edit post form. So here what I'm doing is I simply, so here what should we do is we should actually pre-fill the user information when we try to edit the post. So for that what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply get the post dot user. So here we get a user information, that is user ID. So when we use this user ID, we get the user ID from the post dot user. Now what we have to do is we should get the user matching with this user ID to display in the drop down by default when we click on the edit post. So along with the drop down drop down of showing list of users, we should show the selected user in the previous when we created the post first time. So for that what I can do is I simply first get the users. Let me copy from the add new post here. Here we are getting all users, right? If you see here we are getting users, and then we are creating user options. So let me do this first. Copy. So we're getting user options here, and then we should fetch user matching with this is user ID, and then here instead of where, one sec, here we should actually displaying the empty option, right? When we displayed the what I can say, in the add post form we displayed all options under select, and the top first option will be empty. Okay, but in case of edit post form, the first option should be the user which we selected while creating the post for the first time. Okay, for that what we can do is I can simply copy paste the select element section from the add new post, but I replace with, let me show you how to do that. Where is the select? Author changed, yes, this one select. Let me copy paste this. See, if you see here in add new post form we make left first option as empty. Okay, so that user can select whatever the option he wants. But in case of edit post, the default first option should be the user which we selected when we created the post for the first time. So for that, what I'm going to do here is I simply select here. I should replace with the username which we selected when we initially created the post. For that, what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to fetch the user based on the user ID which we got from the post data. So for that, what I'm going to do is I simply get the data from the user ID matching with that I'm going to display here. So for that, let me see where it is. Yeah, here users we got, right? And then let me get the user equal to users dot find user dot id equal to user id. Okay, now here we get the user information. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use this user information to display the name by default. Okay, where it is? Yeah, here, right? Author here. Let me select this as user.id. Here user.name. Let me save this and then see. Okay, we should add this event. There is event handler. User ID to e dot target dot value. Now let's see. Yeah, if you see here, we are getting the for the first post the author is John. If you go and check here, you can see that. See, it's written by John. So when we click on this view post, we are seeing that. When we click on edit, we are seeing that. But let's see if I change this to David and then click update post, whether this user is getting saved or not. Let me see. If I click on here, we successfully done with the update. But if you see here, it's still John. So for that, what we have to do is we should update the post updated reducer to include the user. So for that, what I'm going to use is I simply use here user. So which we are passing from, that is user ID instead of user. Let me say user ID. So we are which we are passing when we trigger the post updated action. If you see here, from here we should add user ID to include the user ID by which the post is updated. So this pass the user ID information to this post added section. So from there I'm actually getting this user ID. Again here also we simply get the user matching with that user ID, so that we can update the respective section or the user information. So for that, what I can do is I simply get the user first. Okay, I simply get the user first. Okay, we simply need to update the user ID, we don't need to get the user here. Why? Because we are saving the data, the user information as a user ID in the post data. So for that, what I can simply do is I can simply come here, use existing post dot user equals to user ID. Now let's save this, then see here. Okay, now let's save this. We did save user ID here. We got the user ID. What we are passing from here in the edit new post form, okay, we are passing user information, not user ID. Let me use user. Where is the user? Okay, user. Now let me edit and then trigger the action. See here, John and then David subdate. See here, now the user is updated, and if you go to post list as well, you can see that here. So with this, we are now added a feature or the ability to select a user when we create a post. So in the same, okay, I added author in the second place here, but if I go here and see here, it's came down to, okay, I think I did replaced section. Let me set it back and then see here. Okay, instead of, okay, let me move this bit up in the post list first. Go to post list here where I placed user information here, right? Let me simply move this up after title where it is, and then in the similar way edit post as well. Let me keep the user information after title. User information after title. Let me format. Now, yeah, first by David and then single post page. Here also let me move the author information after title. After title, yeah. Yep. Now cool. If I see here, it's by David. Edit post, yeah, we got here. Okay, cool. Now if I save this, yep, it's getting updated, and I can go here. Let me add some margin to post list, margin top. Yep, correct. Then here, okay, yeah. So this is about adding user information to our application. Okay then, this is about the part 4 video where we discussed about adding user information to all our posts in post list and single post page, and then edit info as well. Thanks for watching. Please do subscribe and like the video and share with your friends if you find it useful. Thanks again. Thank you.